Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a massive, frankly, earth-shattering shift happening right now in the social sector. For decades, the relationship between for-profit corporations and nonprofits has looked pretty much exactly the same. But today, well, the ground is completely shifting beneath our feet. We're moving away from that simple, transactional charity mindset and entering this new era of highly strategic, deeply integrated alliances. These are designed to tackle the 21st century's most complex challenges. If you want your organization to drive real, tangible impact and honestly survive the coming regulatory changes, you absolutely need to understand this new architecture.
Okay, let's kick things off by looking at a catalyst that's creating some serious, immediate urgency across the board. 2026. This year represents an impending regulatory shift that's going to hit the institutional landscape right on January 1st. We're facing this legislative tax cliff that will completely rewrite the rules of corporate giving. It's essentially forcing organizations to either adapt their models right now or lose out on massive financial efficiencies. We are truly witnessing a complete evolution here. Think about the old way, what we call checkbook philanthropy. This is episodic, is transactional, and it's kept strictly at arm's length. You know the drill. A company writes a check, gets their logo slapped on a gala program, and just walks away. But the new way? Strategic architecture. This represents deep, functional integration between a business and a nonprofit, which actually creates a measurable value exchange. It's not just about doing good anymore. It's about aligning corporate ESG goals, engaging your employees, and building community resilience all at the exact same time. Here is our roadmap for the Explainer today. 1. The end of checkbook philanthropy. 2. Frameworks for strategic collaboration. 3. The collective impact model. 4. Measuring social return on investment. 5. A success story from Bread Financial. And 6. Avoiding common partnership pitfalls. Let's jump in.
Section 1. The end of checkbook philanthropy. So here is the absolutely crucial point. Under the new law taking effect in 2026, corporate deductibility is fundamentally changing. Imagine a corporation with $100 million in taxable income, and they decide to give $1.5 million to a charity. Under the new 1% floor rule, that first $1 million, literally 1% of their income, is entirely non-deductible. They get absolutely zero tax benefit for it. Only the $500,000 that sits above that 1% floor qualifies for a deduction. This completely changes the math of corporate giving. It raises the cost of entry so high that it forces companies to consolidate their philanthropy into larger, highly strategic investments, rather than just scattering small checks all over town.
Section 2. Frameworks for strategic collaboration. Since that cost of entry for corporate philanthropy is skyrocketing, how do organizations fundamentally restructure? Well, James Austin's progression of engagement perfectly visualizes how partners can climb out of that transactional basement. Step 1 is arm's length. That's the old take the check and smile model we just talked about. But then we step up to step 2, operational. This is where you see actual functional integration, like a corporation stepping in to help a nonprofit optimize its supply chain. Then step 3 is the incubator, where business provides intensive, long-term capacity building to help a nonprofit scale up. And finally, we reach the absolute pinnacle, step 4, adoption. This is where a specific social cause becomes deeply, undeniably embedded into the corporate brand's core identity and its operations across multiple years. It's no longer just a pet project. It's practically part of the company's DNA.
Section 3. The collective impact model. Now, when it comes to tackling massive, systemic, wicked problems, the kind of issues that no single entity could ever solve alone, thousands of practitioners are leaning heavily on the collective impact framework. It's a really disciplined yet remarkably flexible approach for bringing cross-sector partners together. We're talking businesses, nonprofits, community members, and governments, all uniting to achieve true population-level change, rather than just settling for isolated, fragmented wins. To actually pull this off and execute collective impact successfully, research shows organizations have to strictly adhere to 5 core conditions. First, a common agenda. Literally everyone needs the exact same understanding of the problem. Second, shared measurement. You've got to have common indicators to track your success. Third, mutually reinforcing activities, differentiated actions that all push toward the exact same goal. Fourth, continuous communication, which is absolutely critical to build trust. And fifth, backbone support. I actually want to hit pause right here because this final term is literally the make or break piece. What exactly is a backbone organization?
Well, it is an independent, fully funded staff that is solely dedicated to handling the logistical infrastructure of the collaboration. Without this dedicated team guiding the vision, managing the data, and mobilizing the funding, collaborative efforts almost always collapse. You just can't ask an already overworked nonprofit director to manage a massive cross-sector coalition on the side. The backbone is the engine that keeps the entire collective impact moving forward.
Section 4. Measuring social return on investment.
All right, so how do we prove this actually works to a skeptical boardroom? We calculate social return on investment, or SROI, and we do it using 4 critical adjustments. First up is deadweight. Basically, what would have happened anyway? If someone was going to find a job regardless of your program, you can't take credit for it. Second is attribution. How much credit goes to others? Maybe 15% of a student's success was actually due to a completely different after-school program. Third is displacement. Did your positive outcome create a negative one somewhere else? Like, say, securing a job for someone, but only by displacing another worker in a limited market. And finally, drop-off. Recognizing that the value of an intervention, like a health screening, naturally decreases over time. Using SROI forces us to be honest, rigorous, and completely financially credible. Section 5. Success Story. Bread Financial.
So, what does this actually look like in the real world when it's done right? The partnership between Bread Financial and ROX is basically a masterclass in shifting from transactional funding to total ecosystem activation. What started out as a fairly modest gift back in 2015 evolved into an integrated 10-year alliance. Bread Financial didn't just write checks, they embedded ROX's mission directly into their consumer communications, and they even brought in brand partners like Maurice's for massive in-kind donations. The results? Just incredible. They raised over $3.1 million, expanded ROX's reach to more than 24,000 girls across 27 new states, and get this, Bread Financial's own employee giving to ROX increased by 352%. That right there is the very definition of mutual, measurable value exchange.
Section 6. Avoiding common partnership pitfalls. Now, we've got to be realistic here. Breaching organizational boundaries through collaboration is inherently risky. It's almost an unwritten rule that many collaborations begin with these totally unstated assumptions about roles, timelines, and metrics. Just look at the cautionary tale of the Three Birds Project, which tried to use renewable energy for economic development. The whole thing utterly failed. Why? Because of a lack of focus, severe mission drift, and spending way too much time pitching ideas rather than building a tangible product. They relied entirely on trust instead of structure. Listen, if you do not have a concrete memorandum of understanding, an MOU, that explicitly defines your success, your conflict resolution, and your data sharing, those hidden assumptions will absolutely destroy your partnership's foundation the very second things get difficult. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to really chew on. The landscape is fundamentally changing. The tax codes are shifting, and the expectations of employees and communities are literally higher than ever before. When the old rules of giving disappear in 2026, will your organization be trapped in the decaying model of transactional charity, or will you take the leap to build a strategic, integrated architecture designed for profound and lasting impact? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really encourage you to take these insights back to your own teams and start building the partnerships of tomorrow, today.